All my children are successful in life, except you. You chose to be a lowly teacher, and I no longer see you as my daughter." I read those words 3 times on the family WhatsApp page, and I just couldn't believe it. Each repetition felt like a hammer striking a fragile part of me. 2 years later, standing on the grand stage of the National Teachers Award ceremony, the governor pinned a golden medal on my chest. I had been named the overall best teacher of 2025, earning a ticket to a vacation, $50,000, and a brand new BMW. When the news reached my family, the shock on their faces was instantaneous. My mother couldn't believe it as my sister's face turned pale in shame. For years, my mother, Margaret Fairbanks, had carefully curated the image of a perfect family. Victoria, my elder sister, a plastic surgeon whose Instagram was filled with perfectly staged vacations, perfectly dressed patients, and perfectly manicured brunches. Bradley, my older brother, a lawyer who drove a Mercedes G-Wagon, polished his shoes to reflect the exact same arrogance as his smile. And me. Miriam, the youngest, a teacher of 4th graders in a tiny school on the outskirts of Richmond, my apartment smaller than Victoria's walk-in closet, my Honda Civic older than Victoria's entire wedding party. I had always known that in their eyes, my life was a disappointment. But it had never felt so publicly humiliating. Mother didn't call me. She didn't invite me to dinner. She didn't even send a "we still love you" card, the kind that pretends everything is fine even when it's not. She sent a message that felt like a verdict. A sentence. A deletion. I didn't respond. I didn't plead. I didn't argue. I didn't confront her. I did something much more difficult. I walked away silently, with a kind of calmness that confused even me. In the weeks before the Mother's Day disaster, I had tried to be close to my family. I visited on weekends, offered to help with chores, and sent thoughtful birthday gifts. Victoria would roll her eyes. "Miriam, do you have to teach kids that old book again?" she'd say. Bradley would nod in agreement. "You're wasting your potential. You could be doing something important." And my mother, she would sigh, shake her head, and mutter something about throwing away a good life. I had dreams once. Dreams my mother had scoffed at. A 4.1 GPA in high school. A scholarship to pre-med at UVA. A life of prestige. A career that would earn her approval. But I had walked away. I had spent my summer tutoring underprivileged children at literacy camps, watching an 8-year-old named Marcus Jr. struggle with letters, then cry in joy when Charlotte's Web finally made sense to him. That hug, that "thank you," was worth more to me than any medical degree, any fancy title, any Mercedes G-Wagon. I had chosen teaching because it made me feel alive. It made me feel necessary. And yet, my mother would never understand. The night of the message, I remember sitting on my small apartment couch, phone in hand, staring at the glowing screen. My heart felt heavy, but also strangely calm. The air conditioner hummed in the background. Outside, the city was alive, indifferent to my pain. My phone buzzed again. It was my cousin Rachel. "Miriam, are you seeing this?" she typed, panic evident in every word. "Yes," I replied, my fingers steady. "You've been removed from the group. Mom sent a message. She doesn't even see you as her daughter." I stared at the screen. Every word burned, but I didn't respond. I just leaned back, letting the cushions cradle me, and thought about the years I had spent trying to earn approval I never wanted. I didn't need their recognition. I didn't need their applause. I didn't even need their love. Not anymore. The following weeks were difficult, yes, but they were transformative. I blocked my mother's number. I deleted Victoria and Bradley from social media. I refused to answer any messages that weren't from my students or my few close friends. I immersed myself in my work, finding solace in classrooms, in lesson plans, in the wide-eyed joy of children learning to read and write. It was exhausting. I remember nights grading papers until my eyes burned, sitting at my small desk in the corner of my apartment with Lily, the daughter of one of my students, curled up in a blanket beside me, falling asleep as I corrected her older brother's essays. That little presence, so small, so unassuming, gave me purpose in ways my family never could. I also found Marcus Webb during this period, a widower and father with a gentle smile and quiet patience. His daughter Lily became my daughter the moment I held her tiny hand in mine and felt the bond that mothers are born to know. My life began to bloom quietly, secretly, away from the prying, judgmental eyes of my family. Yet, despite all this, I could not escape the occasional pang of loneliness. Holidays were particularly brutal. Christmas, Thanksgiving, even ordinary Fridays. Everywhere I looked, I felt the absence of my family. Invitations would trickle in from distant relatives. My phone would buzz with family gatherings. I would watch pictures flood social media. Victoria posing in a champagne gown, Bradley grinning beside a client at a gala, mother smiling in all the photos, perfectly composed. I was not there. I was erased. But I began to realize something crucial during those quiet, painful moments. Their version of success, their measure of worth, was nothing to me. My heart, my integrity, my love for my students and my little family, that was my measure. And it was far richer than anything they could ever understand. It was during one ordinary Tuesday in April 2025, grading final assessments for my fourth graders, that the letter arrived. A formal envelope from the State Department of Education. My hands shook as I opened it, unsure if it was a mistake. Dear Ms. Miriam Fairbanks Webb, it is with great honor that we inform you that you have been nominated for the National Teachers Awards for 2025. Your dedication to students, innovative teaching methods, and community impact have earned you this recognition. Please confirm your attendance at the awards ceremony to be held in Richmond City Hall. I felt something stir inside me, something I hadn't felt in a long time: anticipation, excitement, and a quiet, simmering satisfaction that perhaps the universe had its own way of correcting injustice. The day of the National Teachers Awards ceremony arrived like a sunrise I had been waiting for my entire life. Richmond City Hall gleamed under the early morning sun, a building that looked as imposing as the expectations my mother had once imposed on me. I dressed carefully that morning, though not for her. Not for Victoria or Bradley. I wore a modest teal dress, my hair pulled back in a neat bun, and my own nervous smile reflected in the mirror. My students had sent me small handwritten notes tied with ribbon. Each one a blessing, a silent prayer that I had carried them this far. I arrived at the ceremony early. The hall was packed. Teachers, administrators, politicians, and dignitaries, all dressed in formal attire. Some faces I recognized from previous school district events, others were complete strangers, each carrying the same sense of anticipation I felt. But there was one person I was not expecting to see. My mother. Margaret Fairbanks was there, seated in the front row, pearls glinting under the chandeliers, Victoria leaning over with a phone in her hand, Bradley standing behind her, straight-backed, arms crossed. Their eyes met mine briefly, and I saw the flicker of recognition, then shock. That familiar, suffocating arrogance that I had lived under my whole life was cracking. I ignored them. The ceremony began. Speeches were made, accolades given, applause rising like waves through the ornate hall. One by one, teachers from across the state were called to the stage to receive recognition for their excellence. I sat quietly, my hands folded, heart beating in a rhythm I hadn't felt in years, a mix of nerves and quiet anticipation. Then, it happened. And now, the award for the overall best teacher in the state of Virginia for 2025. The announcer's voice boomed through the hall. Goes to Miriam Fairbanks Webb. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. I blinked. The words hung in the air, electric, undeniable. Then, realization. My name. My name. I rose, slowly at first, then with a confidence that felt foreign yet thrilling. The applause began softly, then swelled, enveloping me like a tide. Faces turned. People stood. Whispers rippled through the room. And then, through the roaring applause, I saw them. My mother's face had gone pale. The carefully maintained mask of superiority had shattered. Her lips parted slightly, a soundless gasp of disbelief. Victoria's perfectly sculpted face mirrored the same shock, her phone slipping from her hand. Bradley looked like he had swallowed a lemon whole, his jaw clenched, eyes wide, a silent scream trapped inside him. I walked to the stage, my heels clicking softly against the polished wood floor. My heart was calm now, steady. Not for them. Not for anyone else. But for the years I had silently endured, for the nights I had worked while they mocked me, for the quiet victories no one had seen. The governor shook my hand, presenting a golden medal engraved with my name and the title Overall Best Teacher 2025. He handed me a certificate, a check for $50,000, a voucher for an all-expenses-paid vacation, and, something I never expected, a brand new BMW, sleek and black, its leather gleaming under the stage lights. I could feel every eye in the room on me. Cameras flashed. Phones recorded. My story, my life, was unfolding publicly in a way that my mother could not ignore, could not erase, could not control. After the ceremony, I stepped down from the stage and walked through the crowd. Reporters and teachers congratulated me, shaking my hands, taking photos. But my attention was drawn back to the front row. Mother and Victoria had not moved. They were frozen, trapped in their own disbelief. I saw Victoria whispering to Mother, frantic, words I couldn't hear but could easily imagine. My mother's eyes were wide, a mixture of horror, shame, and the faintest glimmer of realization that she had been wrong. That her words, her message, her exclusion, had meant nothing in the face of the life I had built for myself. I could feel their panic radiating across the room. And I smiled. Not in cruelty, but in quiet triumph. Because I had won. Not for money. Not for a car. Not for recognition. I had won for myself. The next morning, my phone buzzed incessantly. Messages flooded in. Friends, colleagues, former students, and even strangers congratulating me. One notification, however, made me pause. A WhatsApp message. From my mother. Miriam, we are so proud of you. We didn't understand. Can we come see you? I read it twice. A lifetime of hurt condensed into one brief sentence. I smiled faintly. My heart did not burn. I felt no need to respond immediately. The truth was, her words could not undo the years of neglect, the years of exclusion, the years of pain. Victoria called next, her tone panicked, almost pleading. Miriam, please. I didn't know. Can we talk? I let the phone ring. Because there was nothing they could say anymore. Over the following weeks, news outlets picked up my story. Social media posts went viral. The hashtag Best Teacher Miriam Webb trended regionally, then nationally. Videos of my acceptance speech circulated, highlighting my calm, gracious demeanor and my heartfelt words about the importance of teaching, love, and dedication. Meanwhile, my family's private humiliation became public. Photos of Mother and Victoria, their faces pale and anxious, began circulating with the news articles. Their whispers at social gatherings, the judgmental comments that had once wounded me. Now they were the ones being judged, silently, by the same society they had once wanted me to impress. And through it all, I remained calm, silent, gracious. My victory was not in shaming them, but in living my life fully, unapologetically, and being recognized for it on my own terms. Weeks passed since the National Teachers' Award ceremony, and yet, the echoes of that day still lingered. Everywhere I went, people stopped me to congratulate me. Former students hugged me, strangers praised my dedication, and even teachers I had admired quietly acknowledged me with nods of respect. My mother, Victoria, and Bradley had tried to maintain appearances, attending local events, posting pictures online, but their faces betrayed them. The shame had taken root. Then came the first real confrontation, though I didn't call it that. It was a quiet Saturday morning when my mother appeared at my doorstep, immaculate as ever, pearls in place, her heels clicking against the porch. Victoria lingered behind her, nervously shifting weight from foot to foot, clutching her designer bag. Bradley hovered near the street, arms folded, looking like a soldier awaiting orders. Miriam, Mother began, her voice soft, but it trembled slightly, betraying the pride she could no longer hide, mixed with desperation. We didn't understand. I made a mistake. We want to make amends. Can we talk? I opened the door, smiled politely, and gestured for them to sit in the living room. The BMW gleamed outside, a silent testament to what I had achieved despite their disbelief and ridicule. I'm listening, I said. Calm. Measured. Every word deliberate. Go on. Victoria spoke first, voice rushed, almost spilling over itself. Mum didn't mean what she said. I mean, we didn't think you'd, this. We never imagined. The awards, the car, the money. Her words tumbled out, incoherent but loaded with panic. Mother's eyes filled with tears, though they felt rehearsed, like a performance she had rehearsed in the mirror at night. Miriam, I see now. I see your worth. I raised a hand. Stop. Don't. Please. I don't need apologies. I never needed validation from you, and I certainly don't need it now. A long silence filled the room. Victoria's hands trembled, her perfectly manicured nails clacking against a bag. Bradley's jaw clenched. He looked like he wanted to speak but had lost the courage. You see, I continued, voice calm but carrying a weight that made them lean in unconsciously. The daughter you belittled, excluded, and humiliated. I never needed your approval to succeed. I did this on my own. Every medal, every recognition, every student who admires me. None of it exists because of you. Mother opened her mouth, but no words came. Victoria finally managed a whisper. But, can't we? I mean, maybe we could. I shook my head. No. This isn't about reconciliation. This is about truth. You taught me, indirectly, to be resilient, to work hard in silence, to endure when no one was watching. And now the world has watched, and I have been recognized. You were wrong. I am right. The room went quiet again. I let them sit in their own discomfiture. I could see their faces pale, the shame twisting into something deeper. Regret, powerlessness, the realization that time and neglect had robbed them of influence over me. Then I leaned in slightly, my voice lowering, calm and icy. Remember the message you sent in the family WhatsApp group? The one where you said all your children are successful except me? I saved that. Screenshot. Filed. Circulated it when I won the award. The world knows what you said. You cannot erase that. Victoria. Bradley. Mother, your judgment has become public knowledge. Your shame is permanent. Victoria gasped, covering her mouth. Mother's face twisted, a mixture of fury and helplessness. Bradley clenched his fists so tightly I feared he would leave a mark on his own hands. I stood, walked past them, and opened the front door. I have to go. I have a school to run, students to inspire, and a life to live. Your punishment was living with the knowledge that your words could not stop me. Your humiliation is permanent. And I will continue to rise. I stepped outside, the morning sun warm on my face. The BMW doors glinted as I opened mine and slid in. The engine purred to life. I glanced at the house one last time. My mother, sister, and brother were frozen on the porch, shadows of the people who had once tried to define me, now powerless to influence the trajectory of my life. I drove away slowly, deliberately, savoring the silence that was mine alone. Behind me, the family I had once sought approval from was left with nothing but reflection, shame, and the bitter understanding that they had underestimated me, and I had quietly, deliberately won. In the following months, life became a symphony of small victories. Students wrote letters, local newspapers interviewed me, and I traveled for the vacation the award had given me. Seeing places I had only dreamed of, meeting people whose stories enriched my own. Every success I achieved was mine alone, untarnished by the judgment I had endured. Mother sent another message later, after months of silence. This time it was short. Miriam, I am sorry. Truly. I read it, smiled faintly, and left it unread. Because I had learned the ultimate lesson. Approval from those who tried to diminish you is never required. Success, dignity, and self-respect are won quietly, in silence, and the recognition that matters most comes from living a life of integrity, courage, and persistence. Moral lessons. This story reminds us that true success isn't measured by the approval of others, even family, but by dedication, perseverance, and belief in oneself. Life will sometimes test us with rejection, ridicule, or neglect, but silence and patience can be far more powerful than confrontation. Those who undermine or dismiss you often fail to see that your hard work, integrity, and resilience will eventually shine. Miriam's journey teaches us that rising above bitterness, focusing on your goals, and quietly excelling can turn the harshest words into your greatest motivation, and leave those who doubted you stunned by your triumph.